Hi folks, and welcome to the Phenomenal channel, and I'm in the woods. It's relatively agreeable. Sun is out, but it's not too hot, and I really like that. There's also a little wind, and I really enjoy being out right now. I don't have a lot of time, and that which has been the case lately quite often. So apologies if the videos don't keep coming. I'm actually in a survival situation I didn't expect I would be in, because all's grand in Wonderland till Charles Manson came to tea. And thing is, German authorities are a survival factor. It's not something I did expect, because enough said. Don't want to make this a rant, because I want to talk to you about something more agreeable. Actually, I just wanted to explain myself why I don't have much time right now, so apologies. I will be back. I don't intend to stop this, but right now I have other priorities that I need to live up to, or I will die. And that's not an exaggeration. Thing is, I want to talk to you about something that pretty much changed my point of view, and honestly I do like things like that. I'm not someone who wants to constantly remain the same and constantly just get affirmations that I am right. Because if I'm not, then I'm wrong. And if you're wrong, you make mistakes. And so, you did make a mistake. And the thing is, I think that this is something that might be valuable, because it is in line with something that actually comes to the surface at the moment a little bit. And I want to talk to you about a knife. I know that you love sharp and pointy things just as much as I do, so I'm talking about a knife again. And this knife is something that pretty much changed how I view outdoor knives. Not that it were were not already on the verge of changing my mind, but this is something that really put some emphasis on what I learned about using knives. And actually, I'm pretty much interested in archaeology and historical science and all that stuff, and also experimental archaeology. And I've always been fond of knives that follow a little bit of a natural shape of flowing lines and something like this, and leaf shapes. I really do love Bronze Age designs, and at one point I tried to incorporate this in my smithing, and because the flowing lines are just something that talks to me. And there is this glacier in Norway, Neolithic Pass, and there are a lot of artifacts coming to the surface because of climate change. And there is this group of archaeologists, and their site on social media is Secrets of the Ice. And there is one Vegard Delmo. I think he's also on YouTube. I if I recollect correctly, you might find him. I don't know just right now. And what they excavated a lot of stuff from. What I really find even more intriguing is that you can find tunics and textile finds, which normally isn't happening, and organic material that normally isn't preserved. And this is really, really valuable because you can look through a window into the past, and this is really, really valuable. They also found complete arrows, and we actually had made a lot of interpretations, and what we can't say whether or not this was the truth until we found complete pieces, and this is absolutely stunning. And but even though I don't think that the knives or even for the swords or something, not with a handle, by the way, which is really, which sucks a little bit, because I really wanted to know whether or not the Viking swords had a handle that was more of a hourglass shape, which I suspect, because this barrel shape is always, it needs a lot of adaptation for the hand, and I don't think that this is cool in a stressful situation. And because, I stood in a reenactment battle that turned out to become a real battle, because there were drunken Russians on the other side with sharpened swords, and this happened way back in the 90s, so there was no Codex Belli and stuff, and I still was one of the reasons my kneecap popped, because I got a Dane axe full swing into it back then, and didn't go visit a doctor. So pro tip: if you get a Dane axe into your knee, full swing, go visit a doctor afterwards, or you will be a little bit of a limp when you're over 50. So, but let's talk in Milwaukee. They also excavated a knife, and this knife was really stunning to me, because it had that lovely leaf shape in the blade, and the handle was preserved, which is absolutely awesome. And the handle was made from curly birch, much like modern specimen, and the blade had a stick chain, which was bent over the piece of wood for the handle, and the handle was really sophisticated. And and obviously I needed to go to the forge and recreate it, and I already made a video about this. This is it. And it is known as the Trollstein knife. I also made something that is more in line with the original. This is an interpretation and an adaptation for modern use, which I made, and I also forged a blade from ATC RV2, which is quickly becoming a favorite steel of mine at the moment. And the sheath is crap, because it really, this is a little bit difficult to make a sheath for this, because the blade is a little bit broader than the handle, and so you can't create enough snap to keep it in. And maybe they didn't find a sheath for it, and maybe that's the reason why some reindeer hunter back in the day, and back in the day means around late Antiquity to early medieval ages migration period, and said hunter lost it, and maybe that's the reason why. I took the freedom to add a brass plate, which doesn't exist on the original, and paint the tang over brass butt cap. So, and the thing is, this is a knife that must have seen some really hard use, because back in the day people actually relied on their knives, and iron and especially steel was really valuable and really precious, and so you couldn't buy 500 knives just so and take whatever was suited for the task. And actually people back in the day were in what we would call a survival situation permanently. It's not, and we call what a survival situation when we don't have electricity, or we got running water, or all the creature comforts of our day, but those didn't exist back in the day. And when we get hungry, we go to the fridge, and if the fridge is empty, or we need to go hungry for say just 2 days, that's a survival situation for us. But they often had their hardships in winter, and if you were poor, you were living in a hole in the ground, and it wasn't a hobbit hole. They tried to make it as comfy as possible, and I think, and they really knew their shit back then, and they really knew how to make the most out of their equipment. And I'm talking about this because the knife and many other knives from that area must have seen a use that we nowadays cannot even imagine. They were really and actually used really hard, and they only used first was what was available, which is a factor, and second what worked, because they couldn't afford experimenting with blade shapes or what have you, and we often think that something like the tracker design is really advanced, and but you get designs like the tracker knife in late antiquity, antiquity, and it's in the Roman Empire. It's in a context where there is already sort of an industrial market or something. There's a market, and there is something. You live in a civitas. You live in a community that is really resilient, that is relying on central heating, that is relying on central food supplies, and where there is rarely any chance that you will go hungry for extended periods of time. And the poor will have had a pretty hard time too, because a lot of our society derives from Roman societal organization, actually we haven't changed much, and honestly the only things that we have that the Romans didn't have is the box I'm talking to, computers, electricity, maybe on a wider level. I think maybe, I don't know, and we don't know already. We are currently looking into that, and I don't want to make any bold claims. But there are things that are interpreted as galvanic. Well, it would work as a battery, so to say. Maybe it was used for gilding or silver plating or something. But there were devices dating back 3,000 years that were able to generate electricity. And please spare me the ancient aliens, because no, it's just 2 electrodes and a ceramic outer remnant. Remnants of a sort of salt solution or something like that, which works pretty well, because I obviously had to recreate it, and it does work. And really, you can. I couldn't afford silver, so I used copper, and you can copper plate steel with that. And the electricity, and some of the things that were found were pretty big. Might have even generated as enough electricity to generate electric current to maybe even to light up something. I don't know, but we don't have any light bulbs, and there are no fires. So most certainly it was used for silver plating or gilding or copper plating or what have you. And for that it works admirably. But they must have known the principle, and well, the Romans were pretty advanced. Whether or not that's a good thing remains to be investigated, because, well, first climate catastrophes were caused by the supply chains of the Romans, namely in the Regnum Noricum, which is in modern day, which was situated in modern day Carinthia and Styria in Austria, where, well, they sorted meat on an industrial scale that is comparable to our industries. They smelted iron on a really big scale, and mined for salt, and all that led to avalanches and droughts, and even up to today there are you can find heavy metals in the ground that go back to the Celtic tribes living there. And so much for the nature-loving Celts. They weren't. They were just people, and they were greening up with the environment even back then. And they did that because they traded with Rome, and Rome was well, and this was well before the Gallic the Gallic War, and so the Celts were essentially pretty much Romanized even before there was that war. And Vercingetorix wasn't the freedom fighter; he was just a politician who was fighting for his own right. And actually, the Gallic War was started by one Diviciacus, a politician and druid, maybe druid. It was called that way, as an ovate of the Gaulish people, and he called for Caesar and conspired with him in order to upturn the political structures in order to for his own gain. Didn't work out too well for him on the other hand, but what I wanted to say is the blade shapes you can find in Hallstatt in Styria or Nuremberg or Hallein in Styria and Carinthia are pretty. You see that? Then a relative visiting. See him? See her? It was a her. Just ran into me. Ah, it's magical. Love that. Well, what I want to say is the blade shapes that you find in the region are pretty similar to this one. And if you look into the north, the finds of Ilerup-Årdal in Denmark and Fimus are also pretty similar, and they are pretty early. They are. This one is from round about 600 AD, and the blade shapes have been in use for a really long time. If you look at some Latin finds from Nuremberg or something, or Hallstatt, forgot the graves, can look that up. They are actually pretty similar, and this is really strong evidence for it simply working. And the knives from Nuremberg were pretty elaborate, and the Trollstein knife isn't. It's also the Ilerup-Årdal finds are well made, but rather simple compared to the Celtic designs. And, there are a lot of Roman knives that are similar to that too. And the Trollstein knife must have been made locally because it has a birch burr handle. And I choose birch burr for that too. And the handle has something special. And if you look at the cross section, you see there are facets, and this is on the original also, and there are facets towards the palm side and a teardrop shape towards the finger side. And it just worked itself a little bit down because I really used the shit out of this. And this makes it really comfortable in the hand. It's just it works in every direction. It's you can turn it over just like you want, and the handle also tapers towards the butt cap, and this is really great for applying force when carving. Also, the leaf shape really lends itself to cutting motion. Also on the original there is an almost flat grind to at almost zero, and I wasn't that brave, and this is really dry hazel. What this does, it really gathers up the material, and with a pulling motion you can just really efficiently remove material. And this is the complete opposite of what a lot of modern bushcraft knives do look like. Often you've got a really thick spine, and this is 3 millimeters. It's not too thick. The original is about the same thickness, and what this really does is it does everything. And I use it in the kitchen. I use it for food prepping. I use it for starting fires. I use it for carving. I use it also the slender tip is really awesome for drilling and for removing material for in delicate delicate spaces or something, that for details, for detail carving, and it really works on everything. And that's not obviously I'm not bragging about my own work. It's something that is really versatile for most of the things you can do in the forest. And it would be also, I'm not a hunter, but it would also be a really great skinning knife. And it would, which maybe was the context it was originally used in when the hunter lost the knife. And must have sucked big time, because most certainly he was just trying skinning a reindeer or something when he was on the glacier, and it just slipped away and it was falling to imagine that it fell into some crevice or something. And also you must imagine we are always talking about a stick tang being fragile. And the original was found below a glacier. There was an entire glacier lying on top of the knife, and the glacier was moving, and the knife was moved around for 1,400 years. Through a glacier with tons and tons and tons of weight on it. Let us be fair, the weight was evenly distributed, so it wasn't a punctual load on the knife. But what damage did it suffer? It suffered a slight deformation in the handle. That the handle eventually bent, including the wood, bent a little bit in that direction. But the tang was in place still. There was still everything intact. You could have taken it out, sharpen it, and use it again. So I'm not saying that you could not ruin the Trollstein knife, the original or this one, by heavy battening. But folks, the people back then had to rely on their equipment far more than we will ever do. We will ever need to. Let us hope that we will never need to. Let us hope that our societies remain resilient and folks take care of each other. It's the only way. And and they used this shape, this type of knife from the Hallstatt period, and let us say it was just the Latin period, and this is 350 before Christ. Up to 600 after. That's 1,000 years. And there are blade shapes that are similar from the high medieval age, and there are blade shapes up to modern times, and you see me using this one too. So this blade shape worked for 2,350 or even longer. And what we often have in bushcraft is we have a really, really thick blade with a low scan die ground. And I do love a scan die ground, and I do love my Castrum SFK10 and my Woodsman, and I love my Mora Garbage and what have you. But the thing is, if I'm really, really honest to myself, and that's not bragging about my own work, but as I said, it's if I'm really honest, this is what works far better for me in the woods than my dedicated bushcraft knives will ever do. And this is something that made me really made me think, and I think that, well, all of the famous bushcraft instructors coming from a military background, and that's not a bad thing. That's not what I'm saying. It's just, and in a military setting, you will be, well, really brutal with your knife, because it is used as a pry bar or as a weapon, and not as a utility tool. And it's not primarily for carving delicate stuff or preparing food or for camping. Camping is a swear word in the community, and which is absolutely hilarious, because camping is just something else. It's just, well, you sit in your camp and you camp, and it's just sleeping out and enjoying yourself. It's just, and bushcraft is, well, crafting in the bush, and survival is, well, training to enhance your survival capabilities when the shit hits the fan. But, well, on the other hand, is what I'm not trying to say, is when should the shit hit the fan? We are screwed. Because if it hits the fan in our society, there will be no way out. So don't stop romanticizing this. You can always learn things. You can always get to know nature, and this is great about people training for survival, that they get out into nature and hopefully they get reconnected with nature, and that's a good thing. But on the other hand, folks, I think that the best preparation for survival is fighting tooth and nail for the resilience of our society. Caring for the elderly, for the weak, for the poor, for including everyone. And not this is a ball of rock hurling headlong through a huge lot of nothing at all. And say tomorrow, Germany is currently raising its military budget to never known heights. Well, we knew that already, and we had a similar time when we were investing in arms and armor and military enforcement and what have you. And it is the darkest time of German history. But assume we are really successful and we are famous for our engineering, and we build nukes. We build really sophisticated nukes and long-distance rockets, missiles, and the working class is completely enslaved, and there are only and exclusively industrial sites where you create long-distance missiles complete with launching ramps, and we just fight Russia. Finally, we go on another campaign against the arch enemy of Germany. And we succeed to nuke Russia to ground zero. Yeah, hey, we won! And everyone's celebrating. The evil Russian is dead. And I'm not saying that I am in any way advocating the Russian regime. It sucks. It absolutely sucks. But we nuke Russia to ground zero. And everyone's out in the streets. It's a sunny day like today, and and everyone goes out and celebrating. People are in the streets. Even the workers get a free day and a lot of alcohol to drown their sorrows. And we are all out in the streets and celebrating and what have you. And it's a nice day, and we celebrate for a week. And at the end of the week, the weather forecast announces that it will be raining. Well, we celebrated enough, and we stay at home and brew ourselves a cup of tea, and we look at the agreeable rain. Just, such a country rain, it's just something that's really good for the harvest, and we really like it, really enjoy it. It's not a strong rain or a catastrophe or anything. It's just a silent rain falling. It's really little music spattering on your window, and the rain comes from the northeast and brings the fallout. What also falls out is your hair come the next weeks, and your teeth, and your nails. And we all die, because we won. So, you are not going to survive this, especially if you're older. If you're over 35, you will be denied your diet medication. You will not get a place in a bunker, and you will just die. That's Germany for you. And because you're no longer useful. You're an old fart, so die. And what are you going to do with your survival skills? Build a shelter? No, not going to happen. Go to where the fallout is strongest, and because then you will not take as long to die. That's obviously a very extreme scenario. But I think the biggest survival factor is actually the authorities and politicians and big-term corporations, including the one who owns this platform. So it's a little bit silly that I'm ranting about this on YouTube, and so because it's part of the problem. And folks, it is becoming more and more realistic that this will happen, and that this is something that you simply cannot no longer survive, and it's not. You are not supposed to survive this, because there are robots and there's AI, and they believe that, and I don't know whether or not they are right, and I'm not afraid of AI, and I think that this is a really nice tool for going to the stars, or for medical applications, or for scientific applications. AI is really great. It's a really great tool. Only that people do not use it as. This is a little bit like if they wanted to drive home a nail into the wall with a saw blade, and that's not what the tool is for. And but the consequence is heavy survival scenario that includes a war will kill you anyway. One thing you can do, however, is you can at least temporarily look out of the system, get out into the woods and reconnect with nature, because this is what brought us in the fix we are in, that we have disconnected from nature, that we think ourselves to be superior to nature, which isn't the case. We're just, when I fall dead here, I will be decomposing in no time, and I will feed the trees, and that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. And you know, the thing is, your resilience goes a long way for letting a survival scenario become less likely to happen. If we are all reconnecting with nature, and bushcraft is a nice way to do this. Get out, carve yourself something, cook yourself a meal, or just when it's summer, please don't start a fire, just make yourself a cold snack or something. This goes a long way for you realizing how little you need. And the tools you need are also pretty much different from what is advertised. This is what I want to say. It's also what Ulfgard said, and what I can really support is that we need to slow down. We need to buy less and make more. And you know, in Havamal there is this a saying that loosely translates as don't be a maker of shafts or a maker of shoes except for yourself. It's crooked, the shaft, or bad, the shoes, no one will thank you then. Which is something which is also in the context of you should buy your sword rusty, or meager your horse and fatten it on your own homestead, and well, you can always remove the rust from the blade and make it your own. And this is wisdom from the Viking age, the Scandinavian Iron Age, and which is still valid today. And there's also a lot of other wisdom in the Havamal, which I really do love. And what I also love is that it has a little bit of humor to it, and it's not that serious. I really do think that the Ten Commandments of Christianity is something we should stick to more, really. But no harm in complementing it with a little bit of Havamal. Get the book, read it sensibly, don't go eyes over tit about being a Viking, because, well, you're not a Viking, I'm not a Viking, no one is, except you are rowing out on the fjord to steal sheep from your neighbors. Then you're a Viking. But I really look forward to that discussion. I really look forward to it. Only that I won't partake in it. You can, I'm referring to Simek 2006, Duvel 2008, Hasenfratz 1946, I think, and Bengtson, I think, 2002. No, Franz Bengtson was the author of the Röde Orm. But also a nice book to read. Röde Orm is one of my favorites, and you must take it with a grain of salt, but it's still a great read. But as I said, so much for the Vikings. This is, by the way, also not a Viking knife. It's far earlier than that. It's migration period, and wow. But what I wanted to say is, it is something that's illustrating that we might have gotten a lot of things back to front. Because I'm talking about it, I'm picking my own nose with that, because I also sneered down my nose about knives like this, with just a stick tang, and really simple, and high flat grind, and high convex bevel I put on because I wasn't brave enough. And you know, we overcomplicate things. We want to belong, and there's this knife forum, and everyone's wild about that Ramir's knife, and it's a great knife. Don't get me wrong, it's a really awesome knife. Only that it doesn't work for me the way this one works. It works for me, I can make it work, but not as well as this one. And it's an age-old design, and maybe it is time-proven. It's just what I want to say. And I really like it. I will put it away, because I talked far longer than I intended to. And really, there will be... I think there will be a right shitstorm going on in the comment section. But, well, that's how religion works. I'm not a religious person, by the way. So, that said, I hope you find some time out in the woods to have a little snack or a cup of tea and whittle yourself something great, and maybe we should really unplug a little bit and make rather than buy. And, well, greetings to all, and hope you stay sane and healthy. For most of us it's already too late, but including myself. But I really hope to be able to provide you with different videos, and hope to see you soon. Bye.